moving back to my table, which is now filled with a very interesting bunch. When we're talking about the client side of research, we actually found some very interesting client side researchers, right? On my right here is Leticia Charaga from Mexico, right?
Yes, from
Unilever
Mexico.
Right next to you is Ratambara Mundri from Nestle in India. Do I say that correctly? More or less?
More or less.
When I say it quickly, then they won't notice. And Mark Utley, you're from Spotify here in the US, and you're also a member of the program committee for Congress.
I am, yes, yeah.
And we're now going to embark on a little segment which you call Ask Dr. Phil. Well, it's not so much about asking me things. I'm not Dr. Phil. But what we really would love you to do is kind of pour your hearts out about what life is like as a client-side researcher at the moment in 2016 with all the developments we hear all about. So, Leticia, I see you're nodding. What is the first thing that comes to mind?
I think that now I enjoy my work a lot, but sometimes I have some challenges and troubles that I need to deal with.
So what's the biggest challenge on your agenda this year?
My biggest challenge is how to transform insights into actions.
Because you have plenty of insights, but
because
the
we
people
have
won't
plenty
listen?
of information and data, but the most difficult thing is that to summarize it in real insights and that the marketing teams use it.
All right.
Yeah.
And how's that for you?
I think for me the biggest difference between being a researcher at an agency and being at the client side is that when you're a researcher, you make the presentation to your client and then you don't care what happens after that. And you just say it as it is. But when you're receiving the data, then you have to take ownership of it and you have to sort of take it and steer it through to a conclusion. So you're a lot more answerable for the research than you are at the agency.
A lot more responsibility to actually make it happen.
Yeah.
All right,
You can't wash your hands off it even after the presentation's over.
Exactly, you have to deal with it. How's that at Spotify, Mark?
Well, actually, so far today, there's been a lot of themes that really ring true to me. Jerry Wynn's talk in particular. One of the biggest challenges at Spotify is blending data science with market research. And in fact, I don't like using the word market research for my team because we're genuinely a blend of data science and market research. So really moving into the fusion of attitudinal and behavioral data. And we've also been working a lot on communication, so we've hired editorial and design people into the team. So we're really looking at the creativity of the outputs, and the degree to which they're engaging people internally, and then thinking about fusing and synthesizing multiple data sources to tell the full story. Those are some of the biggest challenges we're dealing with.
Well, challenges, but also one of the first solutions, because you're actually saying, I'm making room on my budget to hire graphic designers, to writing editors, and to actually invest in the communication internally.
Absolutely, yeah. So we're building a brand for our new editorial team, which I can't...
Internal. This is
it's
internal branding.
And external, actually. So we're looking to try and get a lot of that stuff out to the advertiser community, to labels, really sort of start building out our thought leadership strategy at Spotify. So you'll be hearing a lot more about our insights, hopefully in the press, at events like these in the future.
So this is actually pretty interesting. You're saying it's not only internal branding, but
yeah, so for us,
you're a venture on your own, so to speak?
So we look a lot at people like Facebook IQ or Think with Google or Viacom, and they, I think, do a great job of educating marketers about their audience. And we are an advertising platform, obviously, so we're very interested in doing the same. But I think what's different about Spotify is we can tell more cultural stories about our audiences. Some of the music trends that are really happening right now in culture. And that, I think, really can connect well with labels, with advertisers, give them really enticing things that they can work with us on.
Exactly. I see you nodding heavily. You recognize that? Branding yourself internally and externally?
Yes, I think that we need to do marketing to market research because we are very used to have internal clients and we are not focused on the context. And I think it's the same. It's as important as our internal clients.
And what do you do to brand or market yourself internally?
What we are doing is improving our communication media. I mean, we are not doing these 200 pages PowerPoints anymore that we used to do like 5 years ago. Now we are trying to try new media, new ways to communicate insights.
All right.
Yeah.
And how is that at Nestle? Do you recognize this, or is it totally different in the Indian world?
No, I think there's a lot of data integration that is happening, and the marketing actually comes from the output. So internally, when people see that you're a repository of knowledge, and whether it's somebody in procurement or this the CEO or there's somebody in the business head, anybody wanting to make a presentation or having a point of view starts reaching out to you, I think the branding's taking place. So it's much beyond market research, because now we are looking at so many mega trends, and we're looking at triangulating data from various sources. So it goes much beyond what your original training as a researcher is. It's
Okay.
a bit of a challenge, actually.
Exactly, but do I hear you say that the data or the insights market themselves, that you don't have to spend so much effort on branding and internal marketing?
Well, what I've experienced is that when the insight is sort of intuitive, people get it, and then you don't really have to say much about it, because they can just see it over there. And
Okay.
I've found the challenge of getting it to that level to be the hard part of the story, actually.
And how do you overcome that? How do you do that in your job?
I think you firstly have to have the mindset that you're just not going to accept data at its face value, and you're going to go behind the data. And I think the beauty of being in the kind of job that I have is that you have access to a lot of data. When you're a researcher, you have access only to the project that you did. But when you're on this side, you have access to many other streams of data.
And all the different
Yeah,
research
and if you put
projects.
it together, then the result is exponential, not incremental.
All right, I see you nodding. Same
Yeah.
for you.
Yeah, I mean, so we are doing a lot to try and fuse multiple sources of data together. We're looking at how we can get from behavioral data to social enrichment. Of the behavioral segments we've created at Spotify, how do you then see their social behaviors? How you then overlay survey data on top of that and get more of a 360-degree view of our audience. So yeah, multiple data types, really trying to get to a more fully rounded view of the consumer. That's definitely rings true for me.
And how is that with the distribution of your data? Later, we're going to talk a lot about the impact of the consumer intelligence department, or the insights manager, or whatever your role is, on the C-suite and on the rest of the stakeholders. How are you organized? Where are you sitting? Are you a local body for the Mexican market? How is your relation with global?
I'm sitting in Mexico, and I talk every day with the global teams, because we need to be very communicated, because we are the providers of the local insights. Even when the global teams came with the brand position and everything, we need to adapt that positioning to the local insights. So we are in communication all the time. And we are sitting in Mexico because we need to know the local.
And that's how it's organized at Unilever? You have local insight teams in all the different
Yes,
markets?
and then we have the global team.
And how is that at Nestle?
Well, in my case, I sit out of India, but I'm responsible for 2 or 3 countries which make up the region. So there's a South Asian region, and I head insights for the region. I report into the CEO. So from that point of view, I have direct access to where the organization is going, and to ensure that there is integration of my function into the vision of the organization. And my function gets involved in a lot of the strategy and the business. I mean, we just finished our business strategy for the next 4 or 5 years, and my function had a key role in shaping a lot of that. And I think that we do get guidance from global, but it's a very decentralized system in Nestle. So if you want the guidance, you can reach out to it, but you're free to do your own thing.
All right, so you're pretty on your own. How's that with Spotify, actually? Does it have global branches, or is it all in California?
Well, so we're based in Stockholm and New York primarily,
Okay. All right.
and we're just at an earlier stage of evolution. So
Yeah.
we're mainly centralized globally as an insights function. We're just beginning the process of hiring local analysts around the world. And I think overall what I'm trying to do with the team is centralize areas of expertise that make sense if they're kind of like, special units, if you like, from the center. And then build out local market knowledge at the same time. So trying to get the best of both worlds as we grow.
This is interesting because you both work in very big, long existing companies. This guy is starting greenfield. Any tips you want to give him when he's putting up his local branches?
We were talking about it. I think that's the right way to start. And then we need to, my advice is to get local analysts to give the local insights. Because even when the insights is almost the same everywhere in the world, we need to tropicalize the insights. Yeah.
And you mentioned you're hiring.
Yes.
Let's explore that a bit, because we hear a lot about we need new skills in this industry. You even just mentioned, I'm not calling it the market research team.
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting in terms of public perception. So what kind of skills are you hiring?
So we have two separate recruitment pipelines, if you like. One is for data scientists, and the other is for more classic market research skills and capabilities.
And you make a clear distinction between the two.
Yeah, I mean, there's a very stringent set of criteria that you need to fit if you're going to be a data scientist at Spotify, and we've really been building out that fundamental skill set right across the board. So, you know, finance have a set of analysts, the content team do, marketing do, but they're all screened and vetted by our central analytics department to be, you know, really high-grade data scientists. So we have that capability, and then within my team, obviously, we're recruiting more classic market research skill sets. And for me, what I'm trying to do is blend the two together.
Exactly, because it sounds like separate worlds, which it shouldn't be, right?
It's really exciting to have teams that have those two skill sets working, you know, together all the time, and really trying to learn from each other. So, you know, I'm trying to challenge market researchers to learn data science, and data scientists to learn market research. You know.
Because data science in your organization is part of IT?
No, it's actually part of our product division. But we have a very big central analytics function that have built out this thing called analysis at Spotify, which is building out data science capabilities right across the board in every division of Spotify, if you like.
How's that at Nestle in Southeast Asia? What kind of skills are you looking for in hiring?
Actually, it's interesting what you mentioned, because in the last couple of years, what I've realized is that I need to change my hiring profile as well.
Okay.
So I was hiring hardcore market researchers. Then I experimented with hiring straight from campus, and that experiment actually failed.
It failed?
Yes.
Yeah?
Well,
what went wrong?
Well, what I realized was that you need a base level of market research experience, either market research or some other experience with a hardcore agency or a consultancy, before you come into a client-side role. Because a client-side role involves much more than just the data, and you're already expected to know a base level of, expected to have a base level of understanding. So this year, in fact, joining October 10th, I have a new joinee who's not really from a hardcore market research background, but has trained in a consultancy. So the kind of projects he's done is, demand estimation for cement and things like that. But he's got some experience in triangulating data. And I'm looking forward to see what he brings to the table and how the team now works together.
So we should invite you back next year to report on how that experiment
Absolutely.
went.
I'll be delighted to come.
Exactly. How's that at Unilever Mexico? What types of people are you guys hiring?
I think we are also experimenting because we are changing. The first thing that we wanted in the past is that we want a market experience guy, but also with the creativity and design and everything. So it was really very bad experiment because nobody has the two skills. So now we have to choose, and we try to complement each other. So we hire somebody with the market research experience, and then another one with a more creative design and another skill. So we are complementing our team.
All right.
Yeah.
So if we add this all up, we could write the perfect advert for the next market researchers. A little bit market research creative, few years of experience in consulting, and then with an affinity for data science, right? In order to collaborate with the other side. All right. Well, thank you very much. I'm just summing that up because tomorrow at the end of the afternoon, we're doing a show called, themed about youth in market research and what skills we actually need for the future market researchers, so we could refer back to this.
Okay.
Well, thank you very much all three for sharing these experiences. I think that was very valuable, and I wish you a very nice rest of the conference.
Thank you.
Enjoy.
Thank you.